Does pitch tunneling actually work? This is Tyler Zombro with Tread Athletics, and today I wanted to talk about a controversial topic that we're always debating internally as well. So it's a really weighted discussion, and honestly, as we've become better and better at pitch design, I think we really have started to grade out pitches in a vacuum, which again, we have to take in other characteristics, especially cheating the metrics. I know we put a ton of videos out about pitch design and also considering ways in which you're cheating to get to that, whether that's dropping your slot on a sweeper, dropping your slot on a changeup, raising your slot on a four-seam fastball to help it carry. There are so many things you need to look at outside of the training environment to see if it's going to translate to on-field success. And pitch tunneling is something that we often forget about in the private sector. So with pitch tunneling, I think what comes to mind is also a component of spin mirroring or movement mirroring. So we again have this debate a ton internally, but ultimately I think hitters can't see spin. I think hitters can see differences. If there's somebody else out there who's claimed something differently or give me some evidence, I'd love to hear it because I honestly want to know more about it. But I really don't think hitters can see a clear distinction in spin. I think that's a lie, or if they do, maybe they're 0.001% of the population. So that then correlates into, why is pitch tunneling important? So in my opinion, pitch tunneling is a factor and is important just because hitters have been trained to simply identify differences, right? So we know when hitters make a swing decision, they have a projective model in their head of, okay, what pitch is this? Where is it moving? Where am I swinging? And all these decisions are made while the ball is still X feet away from the plate. So from a pitch tunneling standpoint, we have to create a system where I'm able to throw my pitches out of the same vicinity and then allow movement variances to work. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're throwing a four-seam fastball with good carry that you're trying to establish at the top of the zone. Obviously, we've heard tunneling for years be paired with a curveball down off of that, right? So it makes sense. I'm trying to start both of these pitches in a tunnel that's middle up of the zone. Obviously, we want the fastball to be a strike in the upper third, and then a curveball either maybe nipping the bottom of the zone or getting below the zone for a swing and miss. So if we were to take this approach of a north to south pitcher who's establishing kind of that vertical tunnel, he's now making the hitter make a swing decision based on that north-south avenue, where if he sees the ball in that window, he's likely going to swing. Now let's say out of nowhere, this north-south pitcher establishes a sweeper. So now he's throwing something with 20 inches horizontal, and now he kind of has to plan for this in a different manner. What you're going to see is that pitch has to start out further horizontal to be a strike, right? So if it's a right-handed pitcher, it's got to start at a right-handed hitter. Now that's going to be quote unquote different. Now the pitch characteristics in and of themselves can still perform really well. There's no doubt about that, assuming he doesn't drop slot. But also what's going to happen from a tunneling perspective is you're going to see that pitch pop out wider than the rest of the guy's arsenal, which I would call a difference. Again, I think that's the biggest thing with tunneling is you want to create a situation where hitters do not see a difference out of the hand. So at the end of the day, tunneling is going to work as long as everything's filtering out of the hand in relatively the same slot. And when I say that, I'm giving like a 3 to 4 inch buffer range, release height, release side. Anything outside of that, there might be a clear distinction that hitters are seeing. However, it's not like you need to be within 5 millimeters on each pitch. That's certainly not the case. Again, you're going pitch A to pitch B. They're all separate scenarios. It's not like a hitter can overlay a delivery while they're in the box. But with pitch tunneling, again, hitters see differences. So how do we limit differences? And I think a lot of that does come from optimizing your arsenal with some of that movement mirroring. Again, I wouldn't bend my back to, really focus on spin mirroring. That's something that's really difficult. But having that movement mirror does create a scenario where hitters have to make a decision. So I think at the end of the day, making sure hitters don't see a difference is really, really important. If you want to correspond that with pitch tunneling, then yes, I would say pitch tunneling does work, but it is not the end all be all. We have enough data to establish that pitches in isolation in a vacuum based on movement qualities, maybe some component of deception within the delivery, can still perform really well. I look at a guy like Greg Weisert, who just came up with the Yankees. He has a huge deviation in release points from his four seam to his slider. I mean, the guy has done very well so far in his minor league career. Obviously, hitters haven't picked up on that entirely. So seeing how maybe that translates into success, also how he's going to utilize the sweeper and the rest of his arsenal, it's something to keep an eye on. But again, that kind of tells me that tunneling isn't the end all be all, but I do think it is really important in swing decisions. So when you're creating your arsenal, if you have outlier movement characteristics, just make sure from a tunneling perspective there's not that huge noticeable difference. Again, if a hitter sees difference, that's going to tell them something about a certain pitch and likely will impact their swing decisions. So that's what I have on pitch tunneling. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one.